100 players in the NFL, their list ahead of the 2025 season, and which Broncos made the cut, which maybe did not and should be, and who could be after this 2025 season when they do this again next year, which I assume that they will. Before the break, we discussed Patrick Surtain's placement at number 9. You had said that he better not be lower than 2. There was a defensive player, star player at 2. It was just Myles Garrett of the Cleveland Browns, and PS2 is the second.
I'm shaking my head right now.
Second defensive player on the list at number 9.
Myles Garrett.
And then I asked you, okay, Phil, where do you think the next Bronco shows up on the list? And you're like 24, 25.
I'm going to go 25, a pass rusher. Nick Bonito, young emerging star. They had 13.5 sacks. He was number 3 in the league this year, and I had him at like 25.
And you're so close, because if you take 25, all you got to do is double it.
Okay.
Get to 50.
All right.
Then add a hook.
I'm so close.
Then you get to 50 and a half, 51. And 51 is where the next Bronco shows up on the list. It is not a defensive player. It is an offensive player. And that offensive player is offensive guard Quinn Miners. Comes in at 51 on the list.
You know what, Richie? I'm okay with that. I'm not going to sit here. It's hard to sit here and compare offensive linemen. But I do know this, that the Denver Broncos offensive line did a great job this year in protecting Bo Nix, both when Bo Nix was passing and also opening up some run lanes for the running backs. The running backs just weren't getting through them fast enough. That's what it looked like. So when you have someone like Big Q, Quinn Miners, that's pancaking people, and he can pull, and he's fast, and he's ferocious, and he finally makes this list, and he was a D3 player, this is great. This is a great start for him. And now it's just up from here. Continue to grow, and he will.
All-Pro in 2024, one of the better, brighter offensive linemen around the entire NFL. And they grow up pretty fast, because I got to be honest with you, I'm old enough to remember when Quinn Miners, the belly, was just kind of a dude going viral on social media for smacking the hell out of some random trees in the forest, catching George Payton's eye on the internet. So, and the other thing for Quinn Miners, like you said, in terms of just like being a young ascending player. Last year at this time for CBS, Quinn Miners was unranked, not in the top. So he goes from unranked to just outside the top 50.
He goes from getting paid a lot of money to proving it again that he deserves the money to being on this list, and he's only going to get better because he's young and he's hungry and he's dedicated to his craft.
PS2 last season, according to CBS Sports, came in at number 25, which is, I'm sure, where your head was at when you were thinking the next one's got to be 25.
Yeah, that's right.
Last year,
that's where my head was at.
PS2
Richie.
was 25. He goes up to 9. The last Denver Bronco on the list. I'm hesitant to do this because of how the first 2 have gone. But, Phil, do you want to take a stab at where the last Denver Bronco on the list
the last one on the
up?
list. I'm going to just shoot for the stars. Let's go 65.
65. Close. But
you
no
keep saying
cigar.
Close.
No, this is actually close.
All right.
The last one was facetiously close. This is more of like a horseshoes and hand grenades kind of close. 74. So you were 9 spots off. 74, offensive tackle Garrett Bowles.
Okay, so GB. The
GB zone.
Wow. So we have 2 offensive players, 1 defensive player, and that's it?
That is correct. Out of the top 100, according to CBS Sports.
No Zach Allen, no Nick Bonito, maybe even sprinkle in Bo Nix if you want to.
Well, that's exactly where I was going, because on Garrett Bowles, just to put a bow on it, it says Bowles excels in pass protection, playing on the left side of the Denver line. He isn't a power player in the run game, but he gets by with his smarts. The cows are chirping, the birds are mooing. He's more known for his pass blocking. So Garrett Bowles comes in at 74, which means the Broncos have 3 players in the top 100, but they really have 3 players in the top 75, if you want to look at it that way. And you mentioned the first name on the list that I think qualifies as a quote-unquote snub, if we're going to go that direction, and that's Nick Bonito.
Yeah, Nick Bonito needs to be on this list. The man I just said before had 13.5 sacks, and not only did he have the 13.5 sacks, but he had 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and the other one was a fumble recovery. They named it a fumble recovery, the Colts game. And that changed the momentum of both games when Nick Bonito was able to get the interceptions. He was able to one-side teams and help Jonathan Cooper out. And yet this man's not on the list. He doesn't have to be 25. He doesn't have to be 50. Put him at 90. Put him at 99. But give him a little bit of respect. All right, so hopefully someone like Nick Bonito sees this list and says, okay, I'm going to go crazy. And crazy may look like 15 sacks this year. But that's really disrespectful that they did not put this man on the list after having the year that he did.
15 sacks would make for a very expensive season for the Denver Broncos if they don't get something done with Nick Bonito between now and the start of the season. Zach Allen, also not on this list, somebody that I think we talked about as an All-Pro and a Pro Bowl potential
the
snub.
Captain of the defense, the anchor
in the middle
yes.
there. Somebody who was putting up legitimate sack production and disruptive numbers from the very center of the line, something that like you usually point toward like an Aaron Donald type of figure to try to do. Not as prolific as Aaron Donald, but the same concept. Just bowling ball, blowing it up in the middle, making it difficult for offense.
Richie, we had a top 5 defense. You don't have a top 5 defense if you don't have a bunch of really good players. You have a defensive player of the year in PS2. You have a 13.5 sack guy in Nick Bonito. Jonathan Cooper had 10 sacks. And you have Zach Allen sitting there in the middle, making it happen and making it easier for the pass rushers to get to the quarterback. And yet he's not on the list either. But you know what? Use that as fuel, Zach Allen and Nick Bonito. Make a great thing out of this. Go out there and become the number 1 defense. They may have just opened. They woke up a sleeping monster, a dragon, whatever they want to call it.
Something like that.
Something like that. But it should be scary for people because now they're downing the Denver Broncos defense, and that's something that you don't want to do this year.
You also mentioned Bo Nix as someone who potentially could have cracked this list. He did not. Certainly less of an argument for Bo Nix to be considered a snub or left off this list than like Nick Bonito or Zach Allen. Now, Bo Nix was a bona fide Rookie of the Year candidate after a slow start to the season, and if it weren't for a pretty amazing rookie season from Jaden Daniels and Brock Bowers maybe being the best tight end in the NFL right now, he might have had a chance to win Rookie of the Year in a different year kind of situation. But on a Hot Take Tuesday presented by Papa Murphy's, I'll go ahead and kick things off, and feel free to jump in on the ramoslaw.com text line, 303-713-1043. A hot take on Hot Take Tuesday. Not only do I think Bo Nix is going to be on this list next offseason, after this upcoming year when CBS Sports does this again, I think Bo Nix might make his debut on a CBS Sports Top 100 list inside the top 75. I think he might make a big jump.
I thought you were going to say top 10 or something like that.
Yeah, no,
come on now, Rich.
No. There's 4 QBs in the top 10. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And I love Bo Nix, and I would love to be wrong about this, but I don't think that Bo Nix is ready to join that tier of quarterback that quickly.
You got to prove it. Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson all have been in the NFL for a long time now. And so it's all about consistency. If you want to be in the top 10, Bo Nix needs to be consistent and win a lot of games and continue to do what he did last year. Hot take.
Good question here on the ramoslaw.com text line, 303-713-1043. Would an AFC championship game from Bo Nix vault him up into that category? So if Bo Nix is going to break this top 100 list, and he's going to maybe go as far as I said to break into the top 75 players in the NFL, what bar does he have to reach?
No, he needs to win the division. He needs to win the division. We're talking about Bo Nix now. He has to, and we did a kind of an exercise. Zach and I did an exercise. I'm thinking around maybe 31, 100 yards passing, 30 touchdowns, 600 yards rushing. Like, he needs to, not only does he need to win games, maybe 12 games, but also he has to have the stats to back it. And if he can do that, he'll crack that list. And he can do it with some of the talent that the Denver Broncos acquired this year. And if Bo Nix can take that next step, which during OTAs, it seems like he is taking those next steps and being a lot smarter with the football, he's a lot more confident, that can be the case. I have confidence that Bo Nix is going to be a really good quarterback for a very long time, but he needs to stay consistent, and only time will tell that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the runway lights are on, for lack of a better term. The stage is set for Bo Nix to, with another full offseason with Sean Payton, taking advantage of the weapons enhancements that were put around him, Evan Ingram and R.J. Harvey and J.K. Dobbins.
I said 3,100 yards. I meant 37.
I was going to say, you lowballed him a little bit there.
I'm sorry, Bo.
But okay, he threw for 37, almost 3,800 yards last season. Does it feel, are we going to be harping and complaining if he throws for 3,400 yards, so less, but it's because of a more complementary offense with a better run game?
Well, no, but on top of that, he needs to beat teams with a winning record. They were 1-8 against teams with a winning record. A lot of his yards and his touchdowns, I want to say he had 4 touchdowns, was against the Kansas City Chiefs in that last game of the year.
Stat padding.
When Kansas City had their JV team in there. So if Bo Nix says 3,500 yards and they're winning a bunch of games and they're beating teams with a winning record, that right there is moving in the right direction, and I'll take that. And that's a successful